Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lighthouse video series. I'm Stephen Madill, the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Nichols Portland, Inc. We're coming to you from our Ridgeway facility in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania, where we focus on the sintering technology. With me today, I have Seth Weible, our lead engineer of the facility, and Jeff Howie, our Vice President of Advanced Engineering. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Steve.
Obviously, with the sintering technology, I would say one of the points about the PM technology is that it's not a fully dense technology, right? It gets to anywhere from 92, 98, 99% theoretical density of iron or whatever the material is we're working with. So one of our objectives as a leader in technology is to find a way to improve that density, right?
Right.
And so we have multiple tools we use to do that. So let's walk through maybe some of those tools we can offer to the marketplace to help them with that. And maybe, Jeff, you can kick that off.
Yeah, so kind of building off what you just explained there. The net sheet technology through compaction, we do have to have a little bit of lubricant in that raw material so that the material doesn't get bound up in the tools and parts can eject out of the die. So anywhere from 0.3 to 0.7% of that raw material by weight is actually lubricant, which gets burned out in the furnace. When that gets burned out, it leaves behind a small amount of porosity, which is why a pressed and sintered part, without super high temperature sintering, you're never going to get to full density. Like you said, somewhere around 92 to 95%. How we try to minimize that just in traditional press and sinter applications is to minimize the amount of lubricant in there. With advances in that technology over the years, we've been able to minimize the amount of lubricant in there, which subsequently leaves behind less porosity after sintering.
Right.
So that's kind of our first step to get there.
Right.
And then there's other levers we can pull. I'll let Seth talk about other opportunities.
Sure. So then the next step up would be worn compaction. So traditionally, this would be a technology where you would have to heat the powder, heat the bin, heat the hose, heat the feeder shoe, heat the tools. Was very, very inefficient in the actual processing of the powder. More recently, the powder suppliers have developed a much more efficient, much more modernized technology where all you'd really have to do is heat up the die. By heating up the die, that allows you to get the same densification or same, lubricity, densification, sort of same, or a better performance of the powder that you would not really see in a traditional.
Yeah. And that's basically going from, there's the lube that we can improve on, which is an advancement that's come over the last, decade or so. And then you have this kind of promotion of trying to find a more effective way to warm up the tool, which we know can be to a next level of higher density. And then there's additional levels from that.
Yeah, so getting beyond the compaction process, we can also pick up density in the furnace. I mean, just in general, some materials inherently shrink through the furnace when they're heated up beyond a certain point.
Right.
So you get some density that way. But where we focus in our facility is actually high temperature sintering. And with high temperature sintering, you are going to consolidate that material through the furnace so it actually shrinks.
Right.
And without obviously changing the weight, you'll get higher density through that. You can get up to around 95, 96% density through that. Unfortunately, it usually comes at the expense of dimensional control, because you are putting some of the constituents into liquid phase, and you are shrinking quite a bit, and it's not going to shrink equally on all surfaces. But properties are phenomenal.
And what makes us a unique company is that we do offer high temperature sintering as a basic sintering. Not all companies have high temperature sintering, so it's quite the benefit for us to offer that. And then there's really the tried and true that everyone else uses, which is double press, double sinter, and you can walk us through that.
Yes, sir, that's correct. So probably the most effective densification technique is double press, double sinter. As the name states, it's essentially one molding, one sizing process, and two sintering process.
Right.
Where, you mold the green compact, you get the initial structure, either at a lower temperature or a standard sintering cycle. Then that part gets introduced into another set of tools, into a sizing press, where it will get pressed and densified. But during that densification, some of those sinter bonds will break. So then you'll have to run it through a second sintering operation to really heal those fractures in the sintering process, or in the sizing process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. And a lot of companies in our industry have done that. It's been around for 30 years. It is a proven way to do it, but there is an impact to that, right? And you start affecting the cost of the product, which one of the strengths of the many strengths of our technology is that we're a very cost-effective metal forming process. So when you start adding these processes, then obviously that's adding cost, but that's a balance between performance and the actual cost of the product. So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat when it comes to that.
And we can't lose sight of just the fact that in general, powder metallurgy is a less expensive process than some of the competing metal forming. So
Yes.
even though double press, double sinter, or high temp sintering might add a little cost to the baseline,
Right.
it's still less expensive than going with other competing techniques.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for that. If you'd like to learn more about our technologies or our capabilities, we'd be happy to do an on-site review, whether it's a lunch and learn, a PM 101, or a tech day. We'd be happy to come to your facility and share our expertise with your team. You can contact us by going to nicholsportlandinc.com and reach out to us there, and we'll get back to you as soon as you do that. And we hope to hear from you soon.